Okay, welcome kombucha makers. We're back with the directions for making kombucha. And I've just harvested 4 bottles of nice kombucha from my gallon. And I added a little of this tart cherry juice, which isn't all that tart. It's a nice addition for a second ferment. I'll do another video on bottling and second ferments, but let's talk about the first ferment here today. So to do that, I have my empty 1 gallon jar, and I've put 1 cup of organic sugar in there. It doesn't have to be organic. It doesn't have to be any certain kind of sugar. But I like to use everything organic if I can. And also, just so you know, honey should not be used because honey has some antibacterial properties and it will potentially alter or damage the SCOBY. So you should not use honey, but virtually any other kind of sugar I think will work. So I have a cup of sugar in my 1 gallon jar. And I have the SCOBY here that I took off the last jar that I just harvested. You'll see that I have it on a plate. It's like a pancake. And I can actually separate a top layer and a bottom layer. The top layer is nice and thick, this one. You just have to kind of pull it apart. There we go. And I also have about a cup of the kombucha liquid in here too. All right. I also have a recycling bin right here that I could throw it in, the baby that was just made on top. But I have a friend, Miriam, who would like to have this one. So I have saved her about a cup of the kombucha, and I'm going to put this baby in there. And so it's not going to fit real well, so I'm just going to fold it up and tuck it in. I will actually not close it real tight until I'm leaving in the car. Then I'll close it tight. But otherwise, I'll leave it a little bit loose so that it has some air. It is a living organism, remember. This one that's left has a hole in it. Won't matter at all. So this is a SCOBY. SCOBY stands for Symbiotic Culture of Bacteria and Yeasts. And these are a special colony that has grown in tea. So it likes tea, green tea, white tea, black tea, especially black tea. So I'm a little sensitive to black tea, so I don't use it as much as maybe some people do. So this is, I've got some loose organic green tea in here, and this is very hot. I don't know if you can see steam coming off of it, but I've been getting this to steep. And now I'm going to pull it out of here. Put that over there. All I have in here, remember, is the sugar. The SCOBY is separate. This is really important. If you put the really hot tea on top of the SCOBY, you can damage it or even kill it. And so you want the sugar to melt. You want the tea in there, probably hot. And I'm going to mix this around well so you melt that sugar, at least somewhat. It's going to be sitting in here for days, so it will melt eventually anyway, but just give it a good stir. Some people I've seen make a big deal about it should be a wooden spoon, it should be a metal spoon. I don't find that any of that makes much difference. I happen to have these tongs out because that's what I use to pull the SCOBY out. They're a bit slippery. So I find these bamboo tongs work well. So now this is way too hot for the SCOBY to go in here. It's like yogurt. You don't want it above 110 degrees. And you can always check that with a thermometer before you put the SCOBY in. But basically it's like heating up milk for a baby. You don't want it to burn. So, it can feel a little bit warm, but you don't want it to be hot. So here is just some extra water, plain water, and I'm filling the bottle, and I'm going to add, I want this almost full, so I'm going to add some more water anyway. I've got my filtering system right here. I can take a thermometer and check it, but I can tell it's probably okay. And as you can see, it's reading about 75 degrees. Great. Anything under 110 is good. All right, and I like to have it be at that widest part of the bottle, but if you bring it up higher, it'll just make a smaller baby. So whatever you like, it doesn't matter. Okay, so now I'm taking the mother SCOBY, putting that in, since I know it's not too hot, and it will sink, and then it'll float, and it'll do whatever it wants to do. Don't have to worry about it. And then this liquid has to go in. I like the plates. You could do whatever container. You could use a bowl. These square plates, for some reason, work so well. It just pours right off the corner into there, and we're good. All right, now the last step is to, see how the bubbles are forming already? Those bubbles at the top stick together, and they keep forming till finally you've got the new SCOBY on top. And so now the only other thing you have to do is put on a piece of fabric. This is going to be hard with one hand, but I'm going to try. And a rubber band. Hold on a sec here while I get too close for you to see probably, but there we go. Rubber band around the outside. That keeps dust and fruit flies or any problems away from the contents, but it allows this living organism in there to live and breathe. So then I usually pick the whole thing up, take it out of my sink, set it on the counter for about 10 days. I've got some other ones over here, if you take a look, that are coming along, ready to harvest soon. Those are darker in color because I used black tea. I vary it. I'll use lighter tea, green tea, just for a more champagne type kombucha, and then other times I'll make it with black tea. Whatever you like works as long as it's tea. And this will be ready when the new SCOBY baby has formed on top. See, right now the mother sunk to the bottom. It will probably rise over time as it gets used to its new environment. Feel like you have a pet on the countertop. Takes about 10 days. It depends on the temperature in your house. In summer, it will go much quicker. It likes about 70, 75 degrees. My house is 65 in winter here. And so about 10 days it takes. But it's not an exact science. You can experiment with it and see what the timing is that would be right for you. So that's making kombucha. It's so easy. There's really nothing much to it. Next time I'll show you bottling, which is kind of fun, with how you can experiment with different flavorings at the second ferment stage. Remember, when this is ready in 10 days, you can totally drink it right as is. It tastes a little bit sweet, a little bit effervescent, somewhat reminiscent of beer. There's a super low alcohol content, so it has a teeny bit of a kind of makes you remember beer, but loaded with excellent probiotics for your gut flora and a really nice addition to your diet. So let me know what you think, everyone. Bye.